The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 99 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Jesseca Banshee. Jesseca is a registered nurse turned holistic healer, entrepreneur, and dancer. She turned to spirituality and natural healing in 2021 after a dark night of the soul. Since then, she has cured debilitating depression and feels joy most of the time now. This was through implementing spiritual and holistic practices in her life. Currently, she is working on a PhD in Metaphysical Sciences and has recently begun a new holistic practice that offers in-person and online spiritual and holistic coaching services. So thank you so much, Jesseca, for being here. It's an honor.
Thank you, Omar, for having me. It's been an honor. We've been trying to get connected for some time. I think I was referred to you in like January of this year or something,
Oh, wow.
and we're getting connected now, and I love it. I love just the tension and the time that we had in between.
No, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's such an honor for me to be here. So I really appreciate you inviting me. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, and like you said, you were referred to me by Anna, who I've interviewed twice already,
Yeah,
right? So
Anna is my really good friend. We've known each other for years, and
oh wow.
she's just a really wonderful person. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
And that's what happened. I was inviting her back for a third time, and she was like, "Oh, you should interview my friend Jess," and so I'll put you two in contact, and that's how it went. So here we are.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, she's an amazing like public speaker, and just she's got a great personality, and I love her to death. And she's inspired me in so many ways to be like more bold in my words. For sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, she's very like when she speaks, like me, I could bounce all over the place, but when she shares her stories or something, it's very like, like a list.
Yeah,
Why don't she
and you're
share
like
like, oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
you're like drawn in
Yeah,
and
exactly, exactly. So it makes sense why she's a part of the Odyssey storytelling and everything, and they
yeah.
tell their story. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. So now let's get into your story. So I always like to start with my guests in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't mind sharing, obviously like it said in your bio, you had a dark night of the soul in 2021. Um, so before that, when you were growing up, were you already experiencing anything when you were little? Did you have imaginary friends that people then told you were like, or whatever? Or did anything happen when you were young that you could remember?
In terms of spirituality,
Yes.
I remember one time when I love that question, by the way. Um, I remember when I was like 6 years old, I turned around and I looked up at the sky and I saw, like, I have a very clear memory of this. And I remember watching the sun go down, and it was like early afternoon, like early sunrise. And I just saw like all these rays, and just like it was so majestic and beautiful. And I looked and I said to the sky, I wasn't with anyone, and I was like, that's where angels come from. And
Mm.
it was just a belief that I had, and I was like, I can't wait to be an angel one day, or I can't wait to experience that. But in my 6-year-old mind, I didn't comprehend what that meant. Um, but I didn't have like a very religious upbringing. My grandmother was very religious. She still is religious, and she would take me to church a lot. So I kind of did, but my parents didn't pressure me to believe in like a faith or anything.
Mm.
And then it wasn't until I was 19 where I went to catechism school, and I did officially become indoctrinated, or baptized into the Catholic Church. And I was very religious in my early 20s. And then I saw a documentary called What the Bleep. It's like it's also Down the Rabbit Hole.
Oh.
They could be two different documentaries, What the Bleep and then Down the Rabbit Hole. They're very long documentaries, but they talk about things along the lines of like physics, space, our concept of being a human being, and the power of our mind. And as soon as I watched that, I stopped going to church, and I started um, learning about, I read The Secret, I started learning about the law of attraction, And at that time, I was in a relationship with someone, and I talked to him and his family about it, and they told me that I was wrong and that I was going above God. And so I quit finding more things out about that. I just
Mm.
left it. And that was like when I was 22 or 23. And so I just suffered for majority of my life unnecessarily
So you
from like a
stayed.
lot of emotional.
So you stayed in that relationship. Then you quit.
Yeah,
You quit the
I
other.
was
Oh,
married. Yeah. I was married to him for 10 years. Yeah.
oh wow.
Yeah. So, and excuse me, I'm eating pancakes. It's my favorite things to eat. Oh my gosh, so good. Um, no, leaving my relationship was probably the one of the best things I've ever done
Mm.
for myself. And like that was 5 years, 4 or 5 years ago. And drastic changes in me, in like the way I feel, my thoughts, my beliefs, my life's experience is like 100% different. And I was so afraid to leave because of, you know, people's opinions. People were going to be mad at me. Um, I was going to take on a lot of heat because of it. I left an entire family. I had a
Oh.
family. I was with these people for 10 years of my life, in my early 20s till my late 20s. And I saw all my nieces and nephews be born, and I left the entire family.
Wow.
So it was very hard and difficult. And it's so funny because I actually ran into two of my like ex nephews or whatever um last month on a hike, and they don't remember me because they may remember me, but they were when I left, they were probably like 3 years old and 6 years old. So
Mm.
they're older now. It was just so beautiful seeing them. But leaving the relationship was such a huge thing in my life, and I never thought I could do it. I didn't think that it was possible. It was like I had such a limited perspective on what life was, on how life is supposed to be and what relationships are. And it's not like I'm completely blaming him for our relationship. Like I took a huge part in our relationship being crappy and our relationship not working out. It was me too. It was him as well, but me as well. Um, but my gosh, it was like the best decision I ever made in my life. If I stayed, I don't know where I would be. Fucking
Absolutely.
miserable. That's what I would be.
Ah ha ha. No, no. I've wanted to do like whole interviews about relationships. I don't think I've really got into. I mean, in a way, there have been some that we talk about relationships
Yeah.
because somehow it's always connected to spirituality in a way, right? Like to me, it was definitely like I went through that, right? I went through that where, and I don't blame the other person because one thing I had to learn definitely is like, yeah, sometimes you gotta just leave, and that. So why do you become so attached to where you feel like that, right? Like stuck in a situation, even though it's not doing you any good. And so that's a lesson. I think everybody goes through that lesson at least once in their life. Or being at a job, right? Being at a job that you're
More than one.
miserable. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
most of the world do things that they don't like and stay with people that they don't like and stay in jobs that they don't like. And it's all a trauma response. There's a book written by Dr. something, I don't know his name, but it was written in the early 2000s, I think. It's a really good book, but it's called The Body Keeps Count, or The Body Keeps Track, or something like that.
Oh.
Get up and say it. It's a great book though, but it talks about our trauma response. It's like a huge analysis of why we do certain things. And there was some studies that they did with mice where they had mice, they placed mice in a area where they were fully fed, that all their needs were met, and they were loved there. And then they had another category of mice where they were not fully fed, like they were starved a little bit, and they were not given that much love or attention. They just got a little bit of love and attention. And when they would open the gates, um, the mice that had the healthy place would leave and they would come back. But then the mice that were being like kind of starved a little bit and they were given little attention, they stayed.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's like it's something that our
Jesus.
nervous system does out of fear. You know, it's like It's a trauma response.
Yeah.
We learn all of these hidden things in our childhood that cause trauma, and we've inherited trauma from our ancestors. We inherit trauma from each other. That's why it's like really particular. You have to be particular. Um, I don't think anyone has to. Anyone can do whatever the fuck they want to do. But if you're having problems in your life and you're fucking with people, like you're messing around with all these people, it's like you're perpetuating your cycle of misery. Because when you sleep with someone, you take on their trauma, you take on their ancestors' trauma, you take on their unhealed trauma. And all these things come in to you and you give to them. And there is an aspect of that where there also is love and kindness and like beauty that is shared, but it's, when you're unhealed, it's so much more, it's stronger than, I could be completely wrong about this. Just from my personal experience. Trauma though is a magnifying thing. Unless you're a Buddhist, unless you're Jesus, unless you're the Buddha, it's not going to phase you. Okay? But if you're unhealed and you're taking on more trauma from someone else that is hidden within them, you're going to just stay in that lower vibration of feeling like shit.
Yeah.
And relationships are such a huge thing because we're always taught you have to, be in relationships, you have to stay in these relationships that are shitty, and you have to put up with people, and you have to accept everyone and allow everyone to be in your life. And it's like, no, fuck everyone. Fuck not everyone, but fuck the people that you're not aligned with. You don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to be with everyone. And the hugest thing that we miss out on life is our relationship with ourself and God. And God, I know, can be a touchy word. I always say this. I am not religious, and God is my term that I use. But whatever your higher power is, or whoever's power it is, our life is about making a relationship with ourself and God. That is what life is about. It's if you listen to Abraham Hicks, do you know who Abraham Hicks is?
I do. I do.
Yeah. So she talks about there's subtle things that she says that I've been listening to her for 2 years now.
Okay.
And I did not understand when she said connect with source. I did not understand that. And I had an injury last year because okay, so I had a boyfriend that was like he looked like Aquaman, the actor. He was
Yeah, yeah.
gorgeous, beautiful. And I was like head over heels for him. Um, but then quickly, like within a month or 2 months of us being together, I noticed like all these things that were kind of off, and I ignored them, and I like tried to control the situation. I tried to be like, no, you do this, you need to do this, blah blah blah. Like I'm here to support you, but if you want to be with me, you have to do these things. But I still stayed with him, instead of saying, hey, why don't you work on yourself and let's come back together when we're both a little bit more healed. I stayed with him, and he cheated on me. And because he cheated on me, not because of him cheating, but because I was so emotionally and psychologically attached to him, I took on pain from my entire life, all the way back to my grandmother's life of cheating. And I couldn't walk the next day. Yeah, I was so like ingrained in my nervous system with him that when he was taken from me, when we separated, it like shattered my world. And so I started going to this chiropractor. It's this group of chiropractors. They have a location in Arizona, and there's in Michigan, I think they're in as well. But they're called The Source.
Mm.
And they are a God-based, not religious, a faith, spirituality-based chiropractic service that works on energy and incorporates elements of being human with the world, the moon and the stars and the sun, and just nature.
Mm.
And I listened to Abraham Hicks video, and she said, someone asked, how do I improve? Like, I don't remember what they asked, but it was like, how do I get these manifestations, or how do I improve my life? Or how do I get over someone? And she said, it's about your connection with source.
Mm.
And I didn't understand that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's talking about God. And I had no connection with God, I would say, like, I would be like, oh, the universe, this and that. It's like all spirituality. It's the stars and all these things outside of me. But it's within me and it's within you. It's with God is within everyone. God is everyone. God is everything. God is in every single thing and every single one. Every single, like, this plastic thing, God is here. This came from Mother Earth.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is God. This is God too. This is a form of God. Um, and these pancakes are God too. I mean, they're God made. Delicious. It's something I'm obsessed about, but our life has nothing to do with all of these external relationships and all these external things that we work to get, that we stress so much about, that we do so hard and so much to like grind and do all these things so that we can control all these things and all these relationships and all these people. But when we surrender, it is like, okay, maybe I'm going off a little too fast. Let me take that back.
No, you're good. You're
I get
good.
Before I get to the surrender part, um, life has nothing to do about the external. And it is a huge aspect because it's part of our physical experience. We're in a physical body, and the surface level, the like this outer portion of us is such a small portion of us. But inside, we have so much power within us. And we don't realize that we're taken away from this power. My theory of capitalism, of machismo, of um, the reason why there's difference between men and women, why there's wars because of people's skin color, why there's hatred between us, is because of our ego. And I think it was all developed. This is my theory. I don't know. But I think it was because there was a man some time ago, a long time ago, who felt insecure about the size of his. So he made all these structures, whoever it was, made all these structures to give him power outside so he can control other people so he could feel better about himself. But that's
No, no.
what that person meant. Like, I don't know if this is true, but this is my theory. I think that's what someone went through in the past, is that they were scrutinized and made fun of for it. And so they're like, oh, no, I'm going to get all this power and, make you suffer so that I feel better.
Yeah.
I think that the theory that I have is because whoever this person was, or collective men, were all made fun of by women.
Okay, say it again.
So the theory, it's not like 100, I don't believe it's 100% true, but that's my reason behind capitalism and this war behind like this world being a male dominant masculine energy world, is because someone in the past, thousands of years ago, um, I don't know the situation. This is something I'm just making up because this is what I feel. I'm thinking that they felt so insecure about there's something about their body because people, women, men, everyone made fun of them because of it. And it's
What?
like so many people. Go ahead.
No, no, because okay. Well, I want to let you finish that thought, and then I'll tell you like something.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Aw.
So go ahead.
Okay. Well,
It's
I guess
okay.
I could even break it down scientifically. Maybe I should have just let off with that. For example, you look at the animal kingdom. That's what it's all about. The female chooses the one that could protect her and the children, the offspring. Like there's this group of, I think it's chimpanzees that do this, right? For example, the chimpanzee, the strongest chimpanzee will have all the female chimpanzees. So there was even a video where the weaker chimpanzees, they got together. Chimpanzees are freaking intelligent, right? So what they
Yes.
did was one of them drew out the strongest chimpanzee that had all the women, the females. He drew them out, and while the strong chimpanzee went to chase him, another one came, grabbed one of his newborn babies, and smashed them to death on the rocks. Then when he came back, the females left him because they were like, shit, you couldn't even protect our kid. So they went with the weaker chimpanzee. See, so they used intelligence, right? So if you look at history, what was the first thing, let's say caveman days, what were the women looking for? Someone that could protect. So it made men step up and be more machismo, right? Stronger. Everything was about brute force, everything. So screw it. There was never so how you said, things are passed on in traumatics, generational things in our DNA. So that we've
Yeah.
had that. That's biology, that's science right there. That somewhere
That is
along the lines, women didn't want to mate with weak men. They didn't want to mate. All they wanted was protection and something want to provide. So women, again, that's what I'm saying. See, like I didn't want to say it because then it sounds like, but women made men be more aggressive. Women made because it was like, hey, you gotta protect me, or I'm gonna go with the one that could protect me. If you can't protect me, I'm gonna go with someone that protects me. So you better step up. You better know how to kill. You better know how to get some damn food. Go kill a lion. So see, in our DNA, it was that way. And then now we're in the future where now it's required for a man to be soft. And it's like by a lot, we struggle with that shit because it's like, wait a second, in my DNA, I'm having this conflict and shit. But I'm so when men are made to just not be men, they suffer. They suffer definitely. They'll suffer because scientifically we're not wired to just be. But now it's more common, right? I don't know. Like I know I could go off into that over and over, but I don't know if that made any sense or what.
Yeah. So definitely part of our biology, we choose things instantly inside of us, part of our biology. And I love your perspective. I love that you felt that you said that you don't normally like to share, that you hold yourself back because of whatever your reasons are, but I'm grateful that you shared your perspective and that you're being a little bit more free right now. Um yeah, it's like a very sensitive topic because there's a lot of um responsibility and blame that people like to put away. No one wants to take responsibility and everyone wants to blame. So, and it is part of our biology to have a strong uh what is it called? Partner or whatever, donor, whatever you call them, a person, a mate. It's part of our biology to have the strongest one. Maybe that's how people can understand it better.
Okay.
But we are taught all these things about our body. Our body is temporary. It's
Absolutely.
something that we get to experience for a short time. And it's like everyone has different beliefs on where we go. I believe that we're in heaven right now and that we continue when we pass to a different level of consciousness where everything is understood and we have a just deeper understanding of our human experience. And we're in the fifth dimension realm where it's nothing but joy and happiness but we get everything we want, but we don't get the physical aspect in that dimension. And in this dimension, who knows where it started, our insecurities, but it started a long time ago because societies were structured all to prevent things from happening. It was to prevent buildings falling, communities falling apart, losing food. They were built to build a thriving society, a thriving community. But there was things that happened. I don't know what. I wasn't there that I remember, but they were built so that there's like a hierarchy of power. And there now in this modern world, we have like the fashion industry, the makeup industry, the clothing fashion clothing. We have all of these things that tell us that if we look this way, we're not good enough and we're not worthy. So we have to buy these products so that we can feel better. But even when we do, we're not going to feel better. We're never going to be good enough because our skin looks like a certain way. Our skin is a certain color. Our skin is a certain texture. Our hair is a certain texture. It looks different. Or our body has a certain shape to it. And with our bodies not being in the shape that is ideal to society's fit, then we're not good enough and we're bad. And that's not true. We're so fixed on our physical experience. Like you said, people don't think about in Mexico or in El Salvador or other places, not even just like South America or Mexico or Central America, but like all like Africa, all like so many countries, like even in the US, people are kidnapped and forced into slavery. And that is still going on. People do not think about that. They do, but they don't think about that when it comes to their insecurities and say, you know what, someone's having a worse life experience than me and they're not even thinking about their body, but I am. It's because we have such a limited perspective on it. And we're brainwashed to believe that our body is what life is about, and that we will get what we want with our body, especially with women. You know, it's like we have all these BBLs now, Brazilian butt lifts,
I
where
just
it's,
found out what BBL. I was like, man, I asked a friend, I was like, what's BBL? Because I've heard that for the last, I don't know how many years. And I asked a friend recently, I was like, because she said something about BBL. I was like, what's BBL? But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. That was just.
you're good. No, you're to interrupt. You're fine. You know, just like Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, and I think honestly, I think that Beyonce had one, and I'm
Mhm.
because it looks like she did, and I'm just like really shocked and surprised because I could be completely wrong. I don't know. Um, but there, it's like this industry, the plastic surgery industry is huge because it makes us think that they're fixing on the outside, but all of these things are really from the inside, and we are so disconnected from like a relationship with ourself and with God. And when I say that, like whatever higher power, like if people can understand that, it's your higher power, whatever higher power you believe in, that is yours, and that is with you, and that's within you, and that is like all around us. Um, but it really is you. So it's like if you just want to focus on it feeling better, it's like you have to work on the relationship you have with yourself. And my approach to this is developing a set of values that you follow and that you stick by and that you hold people to, you know. And this means like this is how I'm going to sleep, this is how I'm going to eat, this is what I'm going to do for my body, this is how I'm going to take care of my body, these are the kind of conversations I'm going to have, these are not the conversations I'm going to have, these are the friends I'm going to have, and these are not the friends I'm going to have, this is someone I'm going to lay with, and this is someone that I will not lay with, this is the kind of job I will do, this is the kind of work I will not do, and this is what I will do with my life experience. These values are all intuition that we have within ourselves, that we don't even have to think about it, but we're so blinded by all of these things outside of us and like all of these insecurities that we have, and that we're told that we shouldn't feel good about ourselves because we have this physical aspect about ourselves. And you know, like part of my experience, like I had for more than half my life, I had so much like self-hatred and so much putting myself down because of my skin, because of the color of my skin, the way my skin looks, because of my hair, because of me being skinny, because I have small breasts, because I'm a small woman. And I've always, in the past, I had so much insecurities, and those insecurities still come up for me sometimes, but not as much anymore. Like I'm a
So,
lot more.
who made you feel insecure about your skin and all this stuff? Like, why?
Well, I grew up predominantly in a Mexican neighborhood, and I lived in Mexico when I was a little girl, and I went to a school where I don't like saying that I was a minority, but I kind of was because everyone was brown, which is cool. And I thought that I wasn't good enough because I didn't look like them. And I thought something, you know, I was made fun of because of my skin color. And it's like, it's not that big of a deal. And I nowhere can experience, I know for a fact that I nowhere have experienced the atrocities and the horrible things that people from the melanated community have, or the brown community. You know, I haven't experienced things to that extent, but I have a huge portion of my life been treated differently and made fun of and talked to differently because I'm fluent in Spanish, and
So
because of
you were
like the
born
way I
in,
look.
in Mexico then?
No, I was born here, but I
Oh,
lived in
okay.
Mexico. Yeah.
Oh, when you were
Um,
little?
I don't, yeah. And that's like, I don't identify as anything because one of my missions is to, I'm still trying to find the right word for this, but I do not like the concept of race. It's not a fact. It's a scientific fact that there is one race. It's the human race. And its race is a social construction. And it is used to divide us, to make us go against each other when we really are the same one. It's like, why do we have so much division between us because of the way we look? Why is it that we hate each other so much when we're really here for each other? Like if we had an outside source that came in, like some kind of alien, whatever, aliens are peaceful, I'm sure you know that. They wouldn't come here to attack us. But
Hmm.
if they were, we would be united as humans. We would be united. We would lose our borders. We would stop the this nationality, like, oh, I'm this from this country, I'm this color, I'm this and that. You know, it's like when 9/11 happened in New York, people were so fucking united. No matter what. People were against Arabs, people were against Muslims because they thought that we're the terrorists. So they did go against a certain group of people, but blacks and whites, Browns, Mexicans, Hispanics, Asian people, they were all together
I
because
know,
they were like
but
they
was
were
it right?
united against, they were against another group though, but they
Yeah.
all came together in a time where before they didn't like each other.
But it's sad because during that time I was working for people that were, like Middle Eastern, and it was sad to see the amount of fear they had. So they were like, and they were Muslim, and so I got to see the other aspect of that. Like the next day after 9/11, they all came to work with stickers of American flags on their cars, and I was like, oh shoot, because I knew right away. I was like, oh, these guys are scared, and it was sad, and their business went, you know what I mean, down. So I get it. I get what you're saying. I got your point. Like you're
Yeah.
saying, people were united. Well, like even for example, when COVID first started, everyone was united, and then sure enough, everything started. Well, the arguing about the other things. I don't want to say it exactly because I've said it already, but before, when it barely started, I got videos deleted and I got warnings for talking about, just from a spiritual sense. I wasn't saying nothing. I was just saying spiritual stuff, and then my videos got deleted. I got warnings, all that stuff. So just to say how divisive that was. But at first, oh man, people were very like loving, I felt. You know what I mean? I don't know if you noticed that, or being a nurse, did you notice something different? Were people being divided during that time, or in the beginning? Yeah, in the beginning.
Like beginning of COVID, if people were divided, I
Yeah.
think people were fearful of, like if you had symptoms of COVID, they don't want to be around you or
Oh,
whatever.
okay, yeah.
And so just like that mindset of possible, which, it's like that's understandable, but that's not the approach. And it's like people didn't realize that people were sick as fuck before COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
see
no,
anything surprising to COVID, you know?
no.
And
But
it's
you're right.
like, go ahead.
No, you're right. People were being more united through like the internet. They were like, oh, putting songs for each other, this and that. But you're right. I think people weren't getting next to each other, but it was more an online thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not alone. I'm here with you through the freaking computer or phone or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of, I mean, I did a lot of scrolling over just on social media, but I wasn't a part of it. I wasn't in the spiritual place that I was right, or that I am right now. Like I was
Oh,
COVID, I was still in a shitty mindset and like in a really shitty feeling. And um, even though I was a nurse and I was helping people, I felt horrible. I wanted to kill myself.
really?
And yeah, and that's like,
Wow.
I work so much, but I've been talking about this on like a couple podcasts, and I'm just like, I don't know if I should keep telling this story because I think I think it's hilarious how it all happened, how my spirituality kind of happened, like how I was awakened.
Yeah,
And
let's
it's
do it.
really
I'll let you. The floor is yours. Please
so
do. I want to know anyway, so I'm interested. I want to know.
um well, I experienced becoming rich in COVID. And that
Mm,
was the first time, like I was really poor majority of my life until I became a nurse until I was like 27 or 28. Like I
mm,
started making money, having like what is it, mediocre, medium, middle class income.
mm.
And in COVID, like we were getting paid buku bucks, like a lot of money.
Oh wow.
And I worked a lot. I worked like 5 or 6 nights a week. And on the some days that I had off, I would go to the strip club. And I mean, I'm straight, which has nothing, it doesn't matter. It's like I fucking love the strip club. I love going to the strip club. I have so much fun at the strip club.
Mm,
And in this time of my life, I was drinking a lot. So I've been sober now for almost like a year and a half or 2 years. But yeah, I would just pop off. I would throw so much cash. I had the time of my life. And I remember looking up at the girls dancing. I'm like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And I just was so like mesmerized by them, like how majestically they could move their body and how they could dance. And I talked to one of the dancers and I was like, you've probably been dancing since you were a little girl, haven't you? And she's like, no, I started dancing 2 years ago. And I was
oh.
like floored. I was like, how did you get these abilities? And she's like, girl, you're stupid. Just go take a pole class. And so, I still had that feeling within me that if I were to pole dance, then I would be seen as something else by other people and I would be judged.
Mm.
So I didn't immediately start pole dancing until maybe like a year later. And
Mm.
out of nowhere, like I don't know where this idea came from. Out of nowhere, I was so laser focused. I was like, I have to learn how to pole dance. I was like insane. I was like, I have to do this. I was like crazy about it. And I went to my neighbor's house. So I have a home in downtown. I'm in a bus right now, which is my friend's bus. I have a really groovy and amazing living situation. But I have a home downtown in Tucson. And my neighbor was this kid that I grew up with. And we've had like something going on between us, like on and off for years. It's over now. But I went over to his house for dinner one night, and his roommate had a friend come over. And she is my really good friend now. But she was like, hey, you should come to this pole studio with me. So then I went the next day. And then after that, I started pole dancing or training 5 to 6 days a week and started flexibility training. And within a year, I like transform my body and
Mm.
my physical abilities. Like I can do splits now. I'm very flexible now. I haven't danced much in this past year and a half because of other things that have happened or whatever, but it was pole dancing that really opened my eyes to, or really started my awakening.
Wow.
Doing the splits, yeah. Doing the splits really changed my life.
Why explain? Because that's
It was something that, it's like I was always peculiar about for my whole life. I would see like circus performers and people like dancers. I'd be like, oh, that's so amazing that you can do that with your body. I'm like, you probably have to start since you're a little girl. And I wanted to start when I was like 10, and I was like, I'm too old. I'm too old. I can't start. I have to start when I'm 5 or something. The mindset of my child. I don't know. It was silly. Um, and I always thought that you would have to learn these things from childhood, but there's things that you can do with your body that you can transform your body within a year.
mm.
You just need a little bit of structure and a little bit of mentorship. You need guidance from someone who has more understanding than you, which is what
Mm.
I got. And I just became obsessed with it. And I moved to New York City, and I worked at a hospital in Brooklyn there. And on my days off, I was at the pole studio.
Mm.
Um, it's called Body and Pole, this dance studio in New York City. And I was there all my days off. And I would go to the gym 2 hours, and then I would stretch for an hour. So I would train like 4 to 6 hours on my days off. And it was really difficult because I was really hard on myself. And it hurt my body. Like I hurt a lot, and I didn't, but now it feels so good, and I have so much strength and so much flexibility. Like I really want to return to dancing. I'm going through a building stage right now with some of the like 2 different businesses I just started.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
waiting for those to like take off, and then I could clear up things in my schedule so then I could return to training. But dancing has and flexibility training have been the some of the hugest things in my life to transforming the way I feel about myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I can relate. I just, it's been a little bit now. Like I started doing yoga, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, it's amazing to me. I love the instructor too, like she's very, um, like that. Like she's very, what is it, like more hands-on, right? She'll correct you if you're doing it wrong. Not like, I guess even people that have came to those sessions will tell her like, oh, there's a lot of other places that they've gone that aren't like that. Like nowadays there's a lot of like they just kind of do it, and then if you follow along, good. If you don't, then too bad, kind of thing. So people really like, and I guess I just got lucky to go there. But I did it because people had already been telling me for over a year, oh, yoga, because I started having this sciatic nerve pain, and
Mhm.
to me it always felt like it was more spiritual. So that was my whole thing. But then people had told me yoga for a long time, and I liked it for like over a year. And now I'm glad that I did it. And I know there's a reason, right? Like I know there's a huge reason in the whole scheme of spirituality why I finally am there. But and I'm sure it'll unfold later. You know what I mean? But I get it though. Just to say that, like, I guess I get how you're saying that pole dancing. I don't 100% get it, obviously, because I'm not you, but I'm sure there, or I mean, you could go into more detail if you want. I'm curious still.
Well, yoga is part of spirituality. Yoga is
Absolutely.
spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hatha yoga, ha means life, and then tha, the hatha, the tha portion means, I don't remember what it means, but there's this book I'm reading by Sadhguru. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
him.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, like good, he's one of my biggest teachers. But his book, A Yogi's Guide to let me get the book because it's actually foundation for a lot of things. That it's called Inner Engineering, a Yogi's Guide to Joy.
Oh.
And like the first 2 pages, I first reading it, the first 2 pages, I'm like floored. Um, it's like amazing. But yoga is spirituality, is spiritual. Having money is spiritual. So like there's certain aspects of things that we're taught against because it brings us power. It gives us power. And we have this like inner structure or inner like guidance system within us that we follow, and we do what we feel, we believe ourselves, then we just expand. But pole dancing, it's aerial dancing. Like I do
Oh.
lyra too, and silks, and hammock or hula, whatever it's called. But all apparatuses that go in the air, I'll do. And it's I mean, it's amazing being in the air and being able to do cool things with your body and being able to like create shapes and like creatively express yourself through your body through dance. Which is something that, I've had for such a fear of doing, of expressing myself for a huge portion of my life, because I've had things outside of me tell me that I'm wrong and that I'm bad and that I'm not good enough. And it's like, why not? Why am I not good enough? Why am I bad? Like, I'm not trying to kill you. I'm not trying to kill someone. I'm just trying to like be myself. And that's like what a lot of people can relate to, because a lot of people are told that they're bad and that they're wrong, but it's not. And dance is like a safe place that you have to create within yourself to express yourself, because you're going to get critics in life no matter what you do. And there's always going to be someone that says that you're not good enough, or that you're wrong, or that you're this or that. And again, back to the beginning of our conversation, we base so much of our life about external things and external relationships in our body. And that's like, we hinder ourselves from doing things because we're worried about the exterior. It's all about inside of us. Our life is about us, individually and collectively. Our life is to be about focusing on ourselves. It's like a lot of people say kids are so selfish. Kids are in tune with themselves. Most kids, not all children, but most children do whatever they want, and they are selfish and they don't give a fuck. You know why? Because they're following their intuitive guidance system. If you look at dogs, they follow their intuitive guidance system within themselves. You can tell a dog, you're like, I fucking hate you, and you can say it with a different tone, and no matter what, they're gonna still love you. We all have these like conditions. I mean, that wasn't a very good example, because there are dogs that dogs listen to their intuition, but you can find a dog in the desert that is wrapped in barbed wire, that is starving, and they can be resistant to someone helping them. But when they get the help and they let them help, they let someone help them, they let them give them food and shelter and water and clean them, they become warm again, and they become loving again, and they return to their life happy as can be. They never even live a day past yesterday, like, or this moment. Like, they're always present. And we're so stuck on our past and our traumas. And it's like, yes, we have to heal these traumas that we have within us so that we can pass on the next generation to freedom. So we can pass like on to our kids or to the people around us on how to be free. Like, we have all of these things that we think are holding us back, but it's not. It's us that's holding us back. And it's our belief about the exterior instead of the interior. We're so focused on the outside, not focused on the inside. I feel like there was something I was supposed to say and I forgot.
Maybe. You know what's been funny is that since we've been talking, I keep feeling like this thing in my throat, and usually when that's like something needs to be communicated. So maybe it's on your, because I don't know. I was like, shit, is there something I was supposed to say that I'm not saying? And now that you said that, who knows? Maybe there's something. Maybe it's your energy. You know, it's funny because remember I told you you came through. Remember I told you I was right before I interviewed someone else like 3 interviews ago or something like that. I was, and it always comes to me like when I'm in the shower. That's one of the where I'll start seeing a lot of visions, like almost every single time. Right, I'm in the shower, and like I saw someone dancing on a like that, like a pole, right? And I told you about that, right? And but I
Yeah.
asked my guest, I was like, oh, do you dance by any chance, or did you have someone pass away that dances? Because I had a vision of someone, and then like a couple hours later, you emailed me, and then I went to your page, and then I saw you like on a post. So then I was like, oh wow. So I already knew at some point I guess we were gonna do this interview, right? Like
Yeah.
I knew. So sometimes, see, that's what I'm saying. Like I say all that to say sometimes I pick up on other people's things. So I don't know what the throat thing is. I don't know what we're supposed to communicate that needs to be
I
communicated.
feel like there was something that I was leading to say. What were we talking about before? Oh yeah, just I don't know.
I did
Do you
want to
remember?
ask you about like because I feel it's important about you said before you would feel depressed and all this and that, and then obviously now you were able to overcome all that. So
Hmm.
I guess if you don't mind sharing a little about why, what was it that was making you feel so depressed? Like I get it, like you said. I mean, I'm still. So someone used to tell you like negative things when you were growing up, like they would tell you were no good or this or that, or.
Yeah, just like a lot of us, I didn't come from a very loving home,
Mm,
and I experienced a lot of abuse in my home, and it wasn't from the place where you think. It wasn't from my parents, but rather from my sister. And I was I wasn't neglected by my parents. Like I had shelter, I had clothes, and I had food, but I was there's a word for it. I was abandoned. My parents did not pay any attention to me. It was like all about my sister because my sister had a lot of issues. And it's not like a jealousy thing, but I was left alone a lot as a child.
mm.
As a child, I should have not been left alone that much, and I was. And that's just my life experience. Like I was home all the time by myself. Like I was a latchkey kid or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And my childhood was great. Like I had an amazing time as a child. Like we were poor, but like I didn't care about that. I was like, whatever. Well, let me go play outside in the dirt with with snails and worms and my friends and Barbies or whatever, or like my friends' Barbies, whatever it was. I had a really good childhood, but it was my parents got divorced when I was like 10, and that's when things started changing for me. I had to, go through two different houses, which was fine. It was like, but both of my parents, like every time I was at either one of my parents' house, they were never there.
Mm,
And my sister, I don't know what the hell she was doing. She was doing it somewhere else, but um, yeah. And then like when I got my period for the first time when I was 12, I became like unexpectedly out of nowhere, like overnight, I became extremely depressed. I had like a complete change in my hormones
oh
and my
wow.
nervous system and my body. And I started like thinking like, why do I feel this way? Why am I not good enough? Like I am not good enough. And I kept telling myself these things that like I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, I am bad, I don't deserve to live, I want to die. And like for years I thought that way.
Mm,
For years. And I thought that all of these things outside of me were going to make me feel better. That having people, having a boyfriend, having like people in my life was life. That if I didn't have these, then I shouldn't live. And so like I always like search. I had like such a I've had like I still slightly have these a little bit. Like I'm not perfect. Like I'm on this spiritual journey and I have like all these concepts in me and I do feel really good. I am not depressed anymore. I am so confident to say that I am not depressed anymore and I cured my depression. But I do still have anxiety. And it stems from my attachment issues.
mm.
And I have, or not very much so anymore, but I developed anxious and avoidant attachment styles. And because of that, like I was searching for like expecting all these things from other people and all these things outside of me to make me feel better, I started using drugs when I was 12, like hard drugs. I started drinking when I was 13, and I used until I was 19. But something happened where I had a tremendous life experience at 19 that like I literally could not use anymore after that. Um, which is another story, and it's a wild story.
Using
Uh,
what though? Like what? Like what were you using?
I smoked weed, I did mushrooms, ecstasy, meth, cocaine,
Jeez.
pills,
Oh,
opioids. Like I
wow.
would use a lot of different things. One thing I didn't do was acid though. I didn't try acid. Um, but yeah, it was like I was severely like depressed for all those years. And it was because I was looking outside of me and I was like, why are these things not making me feel better? And I still went through like all my 20s like that. And I finally finished school at 27 or 28 years old, and I started working. And then like in COVID, I made so much money and I thought that making money was going to make me feel better. And I was like, well, I'm going to get all, and I bought everything. Like I bought so many nice things, and I did like first class flights. I stayed in like the nicest hotels when I traveled. I had so much like I did so many fun things, and I didn't have fun because I was alone, and I thought that having money would make me feel better and that having money would fix all my problems. But it didn't. And I had all this money and I was like, why don't I feel better? The
Mm.
fuck's wrong with me? And so I was like, I should just kill myself. And I don't remember. It was just like after working 5 nights in a row and I was like sleep deprived. I was like, I stayed sober for about 8 or 9 years, but I relapsed over COVID. And I took like a benzo, like an anti-anxiety medication. And I think I don't know if I drank too, but I was just like in my house and I was sitting on the floor and I was like, I should kill myself. And then I was like, wait, I don't want to do that. I don't want to kill myself. And there was like all these things that had transpired for me to meet people, and started seeing, like people that helped me. I started seeing a coach and she changed my fucking life. Like seeing a life coach changed my fucking life for the better. And like ever since I saw like was with her services and stuff, um, yeah, my life has like exploded. And I've been led to different like other healing avenues that have led me to like the path that I'm on now, which is like why I created a coaching business is because it tremendously it helped me and saved my life. You know, I
Mm.
have never felt so good in before in my life. And it's because I didn't have these values, which is my beliefs. It's like when we lack values and we lack certain beliefs within us, and we put a hierarchy towards beliefs that don't serve us, that serve more towards judgment and to expecting things from the outside. Um, we're just not going to get the life experience that we want when we expect those kind of things. And yes, there's people that do get things from the exterior that feel good, but that's like it's not like when you lose those things, you're going to fall apart. You know,
Yeah.
because money does make you feel good. Having money is so much fun and you can do so many things with it, and it's not the way of life, but it is an avenue in life to take to be able to experience different things and more things and a lot of different things or whatever. But like if you lose it, you're gonna fucking fall apart. Not you specifically, but most people who have money, they would lose their shit. And in my coaching business, I teach nervous system regulation, teaching more about instead of conditional living, because that mindset is if you lose stuff you're going to fall apart, which is what I used to believe is conditional.
Mm.
So just teaching unconditional concepts, teaching inner child healing, and a connection with a higher power. And it doesn't have to be like the term that I use or what I believe in, but in because everyone's definition is different. But these things have led me to feel immense joy and freedom. I don't feel these 100% of the times, but every single day I do.
Mm.
Every single day I get to experience joy,
Mm.
and I feel good. I'm no longer depressed. I don't feel like I need to die to be worthy. I don't feel like I need to suffer anymore to be worthy. And trust me, I have suffered greatly in my life. I have been through so much trauma. Like you wouldn't even imagine how much personal trauma that I've been through. And from being a nurse, I've taken care of thousands of people who have been sick, shot, stabbed, injured, beaten, all aspects of why people go to the hospital, I've taken care of all of that.
Wow.
And I've seen so much trauma that other people experience. It's like a war zone,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
No, that's heavy. That's super heavy. Like, yeah, I never really even thought about that. That's yeah, yeah. That
I
makes sense.
feel really rewarded and honored for being allowed to, you know, taking the route that I did in my nursing career. I retired a year ago. Um, but the time that I did, I just feel a lot of honor for people surrendering to me to allow me to take care of them.
Mm.
And a lot of people didn't fully, surrender because a lot of people just have control issues and they're just like, oh, I'm sick. I need it. What if this and that? Blah. They talk so fucking much. I'm just like, you're fucked up. Stop trying to fucking control the situation. Like, let me handle it or let us handle it. Like, we know what we're doing. It's like we have highly qualified doctors and highly qualified nurses that are taking care of you. It's like, and I know that not every single doctor or nurse is like that. But yeah, I was a great nurse and I'm just so proud of myself for that. And I'm just honored for the people that I was able to take care of. It
Mm.
was an honor. Yeah.
That's beautiful. No, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I don't know. I was immersed in the story, so my mind went blank.
It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, because I never thought about that's true. Like, like doing the spiritual work, right? Like every time I've talked to people, I could feel their energy, and that's something I had to learn. I don't even know if I fully have learned it yet to completely release the energy, because the same, I hear everybody's trauma. Like before I started a podcast, like for a couple years, people would already message me privately, and tell me all their things, boom, boom, boom. And, like, yeah, I would hear all the traumas, like, privately. And so there's nobody to tell. And, you kind of carry it. So even that, right? Like when you talk to somebody and they tell you things that happened to them, like, yeah, it stays with you, right? But I had to learn, that was something I had to learn how to release too. So I get
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, because it's trauma is a natural thing in life. A lot of people don't realize that, but they're like, oh, this wasn't supposed to happen. I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yes, it is supposed to happen. Like, when in human history has no one ever not been raped? When in human history has no one ever not been killed? Like, when in human history has someone not been tortured? It's like not saying that that's natural, but it's natural in the unconscious world we live in. These are things that happen and has happened for thousands and thousands of years, and it's because of the unconditional mindset and belief systems of how we're supposed to treat each other as human beings. In the conscious world, that doesn't happen. But 98% of this world is unconscious. And I don't know why people are so confused. That's like one thing that boggles my mind now is like why people are confused about trauma and why it happens. I'm like, like, what? Like suffering, or not suffering, but difficult life experiences are bound to happen. This is not no fucking perfect world. We are in heaven, but it's all about your perspective and how you take it, you know? And people take it the nasty way, the negative way, where they're victims. It's a victim mindset where they stay suffering and stay in pain. It's all about the mindset.
How deep have you, I guess, dove into your own, like, I guess I'm curious as to what else have you been shown? Like, have you seen your past lives? Have you seen like other realities, other dimensions, or you've seen all that?
To a certain extent, I've
Okay.
limited myself because of like surrendering and giving up control. That's something that um, I'm not used to. So, but I do know this is my 70th life. And I know that in a previous life of mine, I was a Black woman. And that's as much as I know about my previous lives and how much like human experiences I've had or whatever. Um, yes, and the other dimensional things, yes, to a certain extent. But that is with the aid of plant medicine,
Oh, okay.
the assistance of plant medicine. Yeah.
Which plant medicine?
Ayahuasca and
Oh,
mushrooms. Yeah.
okay.
I love this conversation and I would love to return if you would like to invite me again. I would love that. I'm feeling my feelings right now and I have to pee and then I have a call with a client in about 10 minutes. So if we could I would love to talk further another time.
Okay.
This has been an awesome podcast.
No, no, no. Thank you. Yeah.
I would love to be on here again. I would love to have you on my podcast too.
Yeah, whenever. Just let me know. Absolutely. I'd be more than honored. So,
It was
okay. No, it's been great. I'll leave all the links to, all the
okay.
services you provide. Like, I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit more about that, but like you said, you do coaching as well. So
Yeah.
I'll put links to all that below so anyone could contact you and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So thank you so much, Jess. It was an honor. It was a very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Honor. Yeah, it was. I loved it so much. Thank you so much, and I look
Absolutely.
forward to seeing you again whenever I do. Whenever
Okay.
we reconvene, it's be nice.
Okay. Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Life may move fast, or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he'd make it slow. We look up out towards space, or even at the sky. One that gets away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a maze, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever.